Hello everyone. Welcome to PolkaWorld Space. Firstly, I'll invite our guests to test their microphones to ensure the connection works well. Hi Luca. How are you?
Hey, Kristen, doing fine. I hope you can hear me
Okay.
well. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Your microphone and connection are working well. And Mariel, how about you? Mariel. Yeah.
Hi, Kristen. Wanchan Ha. Hi, everyone. How are you?
Yeah, great. And everything is working fine. I'm really happy that we could have this space today with our speakers, Luca from and Mariel, and co-host Parkman. I'm sure everyone's feeling optimistic, especially since the market is showing a bullish trend. Polkadot's secondary market saw a significant rise last week. Things are getting started, and we still have time in the coming year. But where are the opportunities, and how can we seize them? That's why we set up this topic today. HIC has been bringing traditional funds into Polkadot, and the Polemic is offering a decentralized investment platform. They are experts in how to invest wisely and identify potential projects. And we hope this space help our audience to understand the key opportunities and how to catch them. Without further ado, I will hand it over to our co-host to kick off today's conversation. Parkman.
Hey, hi guys, how's it going? I wish I could greet you in Chinese language as well, like Mario did, but unfortunately, I don't know any Chinese. But yeah, thanks for introduction. So I'm Pacman. I work in marketing with multiple projects, and yeah, we do marketing community. I'm very happy to be here. So we'll just start with our topic today. And talking about crypto and market, I think we have to talk about Bitcoin first of all. The trend that has been, a lot of speculation about Bitcoin going to 100,000, and it almost got there as well. So Mario, I want to ask you, how do you think that has changed the attitude, towards the traditional funds coming towards Bitcoin? Because a lot of people now are kind of, feeling attracted towards investing in cryptocurrencies because they see this, like Bitcoin was just 50,000, 60,000 not long ago, a few weeks ago, and now it's almost doubled, and it's like kind of giving people a confidence to invest in Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. So Mario, how do you see the investors confidence?
Yeah, thank you, Pacman. So obviously, it's a very positive overall signal that gets the media attention. I think from all of us who've been in the space for some time, it is nothing surprising because it is the cycle. So it's very good that we see the cycle finally ticking off. Meaning that Bitcoin, like if you look at the last week, especially Bitcoin hovering around that 90 to 100K mark, and actually the dominance decreasing, which means that the altcoins are getting more and more traction. So I think it is a very important signal to the more traditional investors, but also retail, that they get more excited. People, I saw some news like Google, how people are looking and searching for crypto topics has seen a tremendous uptick in the last few weeks. So I think we will see a lot of involvement going forward. And as I said, it's usually a trigger point to see that Bitcoin typically trends to keep going up once the dominance decreases. So I think we will break the 100K mark in the next few weeks. But altcoins I foresee to perform even better than Bitcoin from this stage forward.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think you're still being a bit conservative, saying in a few weeks' time. I'm bullish that we'll hit bit 100K before Christmas. That'll be a good Christmas present. How do you think that's like affecting the sentiment of investors and new community that's kind of wanting to join Web3? And like for us, for example, the current market conditions, sometimes Bitcoin could go from 100,000 to 1985. Does that affect the user confidence and investors' confidence when market sometimes drops drastically?
Yeah, for sure. Of course. I mean, people, especially when they get in now, then when you see the investment dropping 10-20% in a couple of days, obviously it makes them nervous. But of course, this is just how the cycle works. In terms of overall sentiment, it has been really an improvement. They usually say we're at the top of the cycle once the taxi drivers and old friends start to contact you asking about crypto. So we are definitely not there yet. So I think we still have 6 to 12 months at least ahead, which should be very exciting. But it's definitely a very positive signal overall for non-crypto investors to get involved. Yeah.
Interesting. That's a very interesting metric. When your Uber driver's interested in crypto, that means it's going up. Let's head over to Luca. Luca, could you briefly just tell us about Polymec, like what you guys do, and just for any community that's not aware of the brand and the project, just a brief introduction for Polymec to start with.
Sure. Thank you, Pegman. So what we enable with Polymac is decentralized fundraising infrastructure. Keeping it short, we're helping startups to succeed, and with a strong focus on the Web3 front. So Web3 startups that are looking to raise funds, we help them to get ready for their funding round, where our protocol can do everything that is required for fundraising in a box. So we connect them to the investors can access the funding rounds, and we do that with a seamless interaction on our decentralized application, where we worked on a lot of end user feedback that we're really eager to show everyone in our next funding round, of making it as easy as possible to invest with a click of a button.
Interesting. That's obviously one of the most crucial parts, to have like a very seamless, easy experience for a user. I remember previously, like for example, the likes of TokenSoft. Sometimes we used to have issues with KYC, that you've not been approved for so many days and you've missed out a funding round, or you used to get put in a queue where the tokens have sold out or something. There used to be a lot of hurdles, and it wasn't very user friendly. So for Polymec, how is there any kind of protocols that you have in place to lower the barriers to entry for an ordinary investor who doesn't really understand Web3 so much but wants to get involved? So how's Polymec making it easier for a normal user to participate?
Absolutely. So coming to your point, I think that's a very critical one. An end user journey, you want to participate somewhere, you undergo a KYC. That piece to be scalable and globally applicable, we changed the model to a framework that you have to undergo a KYC once and you can reuse it thereafter, which means for an end user, you feel like you just log into your account, but as you're already KYC'd, you can use all the functionalities. How we make it easier is the point of a lot of Web3 applications are trying to make Web3 easy. And that's a very hard thing to do, because you're approaching it from using the Web3 tech stack and trying to get closer to a Web2 front end. So what we actually did in the past couple of months, was to use our tech stack and make it accessible from a Web2 interface. So on our end, for an end user to participate in a deal, he will not have the feeling as if he's interacting with a crypto protocol or with on-chain usage directly. We will make it very seamless, so that the end user who connects his wallet is already directly connected with his KYC as well, and he feels like it will be a new method of a sign in to a full portal where he has access to deals where he can participate, and with a one hub participation function, which is basically just one button, he actually triggers an on-chain transaction. So we very much are making it as simple as Web2. And in the background, we apply the Web3 technology to ensure the secure transfer and settlement of funds.
That's a very interesting point, because a lot of times we hear from projects and teams that they just want to imply Web3. But I think for us to kind of have a mass adoption of Web3, we're still going to have to rely on Web2 a little bit. We can't just completely go away from Web2. Would you agree with that, Luca?
Absolutely. I mean, on our end, it's also, if you have users that are happy with a platform, so for example, someone is a registered user on a crypto exchange, why you're trying to get that user off to your decentralized application, because maybe you shouldn't, but maybe the end user should have access to your decentralized application from where the user prefers to be. And this is what we're will enable with Polimec as well, with our white label solution, to offer it to financial intermediaries, for example, also crypto exchanges, and we'll start with crypto brokers and banks. So clients that have an account with a bank or with a broker, they will be able to participate in early stage Web3 deals without signing up anywhere additionally because they already have an account. And we think this will be the major part forward for Web3 to enable the users more use cases where they're already onboarded, so they can remain in the interface they're familiar with.
That's a very valid point. Thank you. I want to go back to what Mario said earlier about money flowing into all altcoins, because that's a very interesting point.
Yeah, I love
So
it.
because naturally, to be honest, it doesn't matter. Yes, of course, the tech matters and what you deliver in the project, but naturally, for most people, wherever the money goes, people follow. And for especially for
Mhm.
somebody new that doesn't know the crypto market very well, they see the Bitcoin pumping and they just want to go into Bitcoin and invest into Bitcoin. So Mario, what do you think? Like, is it easy for you to like kind of convince people to invest into something other than Bitcoin, like Polkadot ecosystem and projects within Polkadot?
Yep. So I think, of course, Bitcoin is what everyone knows about. And then the second questions we usually ask is, have you heard about Ethereum? Because I think it's an important important signal whether someone has actually like looked a bit at the space or just reading the news about it. And then if they know Ethereum, then we say, okay, look, so the mastermind behind Ethereum, Dr. Kevin Wood, he basically started a new project, which is better, which is basically years ahead of Ethereum, not just in terms of execution of smart contracts and so on, but also in terms of the whole infrastructure and setup, and especially now with the upgrades that are coming with Jam. It's really at the technology forefront. So we emphasize one on the team. So Gavin and his core developers at Parity, and then obviously the great Parachain teams. And we use some of the good use cases. For example, Peak Network, where we supported early on. They have clients, like Airbus and NTT, Bosch. So that's something that resonates. Or Mythical Games, when we say, hey, these guys are building a new FIFA game. So these are the kind of use cases. Or Mandala in Indonesia, where they're building the whole governmental services there, and also private enterprise for the whole country, basically. So these are really the real world cases which resonate with traditional investors. So we really want to make it clear, when you invest in Polkadot, you invest in a great technology, which is still heavily undervalued, in our opinion. So it has a lot of upside, and a lot of use cases are on it already. Plus, with all the upgrades coming, it will really bring a lot of value to investors. And frankly, traditional investors understand that better, because I think a lot of crypto investors in the past have been a bit biased. They said like, "Oh, DOT is so last cycle, and we're looking more at the newer coins and so on." I think some of them are also starting to understand that there is something big happening in Polkadot. But for the traditional investors, they are not biased. So for us, it is frankly a bit easier to, if we convince them to invest in crypto and into altcoins, then Polkadot is an easier sell than to existing crypto holders.
That's a good point. And actually, I agree. Like what you initially said, I agree with that. Like, having Kevin Wood's name just behind Polkadot, that alone is quite a bullish thing. I still think, like, regardless of what we achieved so far in Polkadot ecosystem, we're still years early. Going maybe fast forward 4 or 5 years from now, I think Polkadot will be. People have been already calling it like Ethereum killer. I'm not going to go into that extreme and call it Ethereum killer, but I think it'll be quite close to what Ethereum has achieved so far. And same with the, like, thanks for mentioning Mandala. That's another project I work with. People don't actually realize the impact of these emerging markets where, like, you're going to have millions of users coming from this side of the world. People are only focusing on, for example, US, Europe, and UK. And that's actually, that alone is like such a bullish sentiment. So DOT definitely is not the last cycle, but a lot of people still think that. Luca, what's your opinion on that?
I think mostly on the cycles, it depends, of course, on the investment horizon from the investor itself. Like, as you mentioned, it depends if they just want to have a couple of trades or long-term outlooks. Especially from the traditional financial side, it also matters how long the asset is already incorporated. Now with BTC and ETH having the ETFs out, having BTC with the BlackRock backing, it became an asset class. And we see that also in the market that, I mean, we're closely into a 2-year bull market in Bitcoin itself. Now we're starting to see the ramp up in smaller altcoins. Now, if you look at very long-term investors, they know that the tech matters and they know that the best tech will win. And the moment there is the largest application running on a decentralized blockchain, it needs to be optimized on all fronts. So independent where the winning application will launch that conquers the entire globe, be it in terms of transactions, be it in terms of users, as of that moment, you need to optimize every little part of it. That means you need to enhance the security, you need to reduce the latency, you need to increase throughput, you need to optimize UI, UX, you name it. And the benefits that we have with Polkadot, especially also on the startup side in onboarding new projects, is the completely unbeatable shared security model that you can actually launch as a project and you're protected by the full economic security of the Polkadot relay chain. And this is something investors do understand. And especially for a longer term horizon, as some of you have mentioned, Ethereum Killer or similar names, I think it's very important to see that, especially the traditional investors we talk to, they come more from an asset allocation side, which means you need to have the strongest coins in your portfolio that cover various sectors. And leaving DOT out in such an asset allocation is kind of impossible to rationalize. And this is also what we see.
Interesting. And you're absolutely right. Tech definitely does matter. And that's like something a more sort of senior and more sensible investor that who has been around for a while would definitely invest into rather than, something that doesn't really have a good tech behind it. And talking about the tech, now we obviously see ChatGPT is taking over and, AI is becoming the main focal point of the market attention. And now, just basically everything is all about AI. So do you think Polimec would have, any plans to attract more AI projects in the future? And, how do you think development AI field and investment opportunities with like AI projects?
A very interesting question. I mean, that one is a very broad one to tackle because every project is affected by AI, right? Be it that you're using softwares such as ChatGPT, for example, to increase efficiency output, or if you want to call it AI projects, where we have to categorize between how much are they actually AI projects. Now, two things that we see very, very interesting is kind of funding flows that we're looking at where investors can potentially fund AI agents, which are then being developed by developers of the AI agent that needs to be funded. The tricky part of such projects to find a sustainable flow is if you're starting to fund AI agents, the market, especially on the open source side, is extremely competitive. And the speed of development on that front is so rapid that a lot of the solutions are already outpaced a couple of months in. So all the AI or most of the AI solutions require an extremely capital intensive backend and hardware investments to actually conquer or having an above average growth in the long run to succeed. Long story short, we're very much looking into offering the right AI projects or funding round framework, but the devil lies in the detail that you can offer something that has sustainability to stay and also something that can deliver returns in the market over multiple years to come.
Actually, that's a very good point. I agree with that. And then obviously you have to stand out. You can't just be an average project and expect people to back you. And same with the returns as well. So Mario, I want to go back to our conversation about investment. So as you know, recently Polkadot inflation rate has gone down to 8%, which means like the staking rewards and everything has gone down a little bit. And traditional investors in Polkadot, they obviously rely on passive income and obviously still offers higher return than a traditional finance. So what do you think the inflation and change affect them, or do you think it will sort of keep investors still happy because it's still 8% higher than traditional, or do you think they will look to move elsewhere?
Yeah, so I look up the staking Bifrost, for example, today is like 15.5%. It has come down from like 18.5 like 2 months ago. So the impact has been there, but like not huge yet. I think it's still a function of like how many people stake. So, and then obviously supply and demand. So the key concern that I heard from people who were pushing this proposal was that actually people were selling their staking rewards monthly. Like some of the bigger validators or bigger dot holders, so that you have like a constant like selling pressure. I think that was one of the key arguments for this proposal to bring down the inflation rate. Personally, I think, inflation rates should probably be single digit. As we've seen also in traditional economies, inflation generally is not bad in principle, but you need to keep it under control. So I think 8% is a reasonable number. Investors so far still get decent staking rewards if you compare it to other major coins. So 15% is still attractive. So I think there's no impact yet. I think it's more important where we are in the cycle. So overall beta of the market. But then if we want dot to outperform, I think the whole narrative and the developments around jam and use cases is more important than inflation itself.
Yeah, definitely. Use cases are something that defines the token utility and the kind of potential returns in future. But now we're kind of in an era where meme coins are getting a lot of attention from Web3 community, and simply because the returns are a lot higher and it looks a lot more fruitier. And obviously you can lose all your money as well, but then at the same time they have the chance to have a lot of profits. And we've recently seen a lot of students and going live on TikTok and on social medias and streaming and selling meme coins, and this has also kind of attracted a lot of attention, and which has ultimately resulted in price going up. What's your opinion on that? What do you think of this sort of trade, this sort of culture in crypto?
Yeah, I've seen this kid who's like, I think 11 years old or 12, who like
Yeah.
whose coin would have been worth like more than $1 million had he held on to it. It's it's frankly that's a bit crazy. I think we need to consider a few factors here. So talking about kids getting involved in Web3, I think yes, it is important to early educate the younger generation, get them excited about Web3, and to experience a bit. But I think it should be basically in a protected environment. So we can have like certain like learning platforms where they can do online classes, can get some reward tokens, they can do some experiments with different things. But I think the whole proposition should not be like, oh, I can make a quick buck here, like with a meme coin that doesn't have any real use. I think that's the wrong kind of mindset that we're teaching then to them. It's more about like you're learning something and then you active in something that actually has value to society and where you can generate value. I think that's very important to get them tech savvy and business savvy. Social media, TikTok itself, honestly, I'm more in the camp where we should restrict it for minors. We've seen a lot of negative impact on mental health for minors from social media. But having said that, of course, we need to still make sure that the younger generation has access to technology and gets educated with it. But overall, I think it's really the wrong message also that we send to regulators, because then regulator says, oh yeah, there are some of them are already biased, and then they see, oh, Web3 is only about speculation or so on, and that's definitely not the image that we want to portray. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Personally, like I'm not a TikTok user, I'm a marketing guy and I'm 24/7 busy, building communities and marketing, and I don't really have time for that. But like I remember seeing a video somebody shared online on Twitter where they had like over 20-30,000 viewers online while this guy was like streaming and selling. Do you think indirectly, even though this is some sort of like negative impact, but do you think indirectly it helps the Web3 popularity and influence and, like kind of educating people or like bringing people or attracting people towards crypto and Web3 in general?
It certainly raises the interest, which is good. If people are willing to learn more about it. But then, we need to ask ourselves, just like in traditional market, there should be certain barriers of entry, and I think then the exchanges need to do more KYC before they let some 11-year-old kids set up an account. So yes, we need to force we need to basically take the positives and make sure that we get the more people involved, but on the other hand also protecting retail investors and especially minors.
Yeah. Let's move over to Luca. Luca, I want to get your opinion on this as well, but I just want to add, I think we might, I'm sure everybody must have heard like Elon Musk, established Doge, which I found quite ironic and funny that, it has to be Doge because he's always been a Doge supporter. And obviously meme coins, like after this sort of like market bullish sentiment or somebody influencer has posted something and meme coins has gone to billions very quickly. On the other end, when you compare it to a project that has been building for years and years and, have put a lot of hard work into it, but they're still struggling to reach that market cap that meme coin has reached. So how do you think that affects the culture of, decentralized investment methods and, for a team compared to meme coin?
It's actually a very good question. I think meme coins are an extremely interesting phenomenon because it's much more complex than it seems on the surface. And Elon Musk naming the department Doge directly after the coin, agree with you, is certainly not just a coincidence how he does the
I
move.
just want to interrupt you there. I had to, the day I watched it, I had to go back and check if it was like a official Elon Musk official account or it was a parody account because I did not believe that it was actually called Doge.
But in general, I think meme coins are a very interesting social experiment and probably the best school for investors, be it on how to trade an asset and how to invest in an asset, where the only thing that you have to look at, it doesn't matter on the tech, but you purely have to focus on the trading psychology of your opponents. So people holding the coins, people trading the coins, reading the news, trying to get the influence over and getting an understanding of the community, which is a very, very crucial part in crypto as well. And they are actually very, very strongly only having that aspect because you're not comparing the technological front of the meme coins behind it. So it is a very interesting mechanism of a vehicle of how that will develop going further. I think DAOs did very interesting developments as well over the last couple of years. But looking at Doge alone, comparing it to other meme coins, I wouldn't dare to take a stand because underneath the surface, it's much more complex than just spinning up a meme coin and hoping that it gets big, because reaching that kind of size requires major effort from a lot of major parties being involved, advertising and market such an underlying asset. I think it's very, very tricky to see the benefit of a meme coin for an individual project itself. I think it's a great, how can you say, it's a great example that you can compare a successful meme coin in terms of marketing and distribution in comparison to another project. So maybe there are some parallels or learnings that can be taken out, but that one only counts for meme coins that are in existence for several years, of course, that have maintained a successful community management, so to speak.
Just a quick one. Do you think will Polimec ever consider having meme coins, fundraising? Would we ever see like a meme coin fundraise coming up on Polimec?
I was certainly not excluded at all. The tricky part with the meme coin is meme coins have to differentiate itself, right? It's so easy to launch a meme coin. And it's very, very important that meme coins are the most important thing that needs to find the right moment in time to launch, the right topic that is currently hot, to gather the right cohort of people that really, really love the underlying topic. It can be something funny, it can be something hilarious, something that you want to share with your friends, something that is perfectly the spot on time, which is where marketing people are extremely strong and qualified of. So I would never exclude or underestimate the potential of a meme coin, and hence would certainly not exclude it in Polimec's future. Nevertheless, we do not have any plans as of now, but it was certainly not excluded.
I think it also depends on the team behind the meme coin as well. If it's like there's a lot of meme coins that I've seen. The team behind is actually well-known people in the ecosystem, and they actually want to just do something for fun rather than somebody who's hiding their identity and looking suspicious from the start. But Mario, I want to ask you a quick question. So, what do you think about Dodge, and what was your initial reaction when you seen the announcement?
Sorry, which announcement?
When Elon Musk announced that he's going to be
Okay.
establishing Dodge.
Oh, it was. I was really positively, positively taken by this because I think a lot of governments around the world have grown outgrown in number of let's say in number of personnel and bureaucracy. So I think what we need is really like a decade of Reagan, Reaganish policies of deregulation, cutting bureaucracy, making sure that business people can actually do their business as long as they don't harm any consumers or anything. But so some basic protection, of course, has to be there. But I think if you look in US, but also in Europe, I think that's what we were saying. We need something like this in Europe as well. Deregulation to actually help the young entrepreneurs to succeed rather than like, oh, what are you working on, we need to stop you working on. So I think that's the wrong attitude. It's great, for example, here in Hong Kong where I'm based. It's really great to see where the government is supporting a lot of initiatives. If you're working on a crypto Web3 project, they're excited and they're like, hey, yes, do you know they have this grant from Cyberport, from Hong Kong University of Science Technology, so, or we can help you introduce you to this guy. Singapore is similar, so it's really great to see that there are places in the world. I believe Switzerland is also similar, and Dubai, where the government is actually supporting. US is looking like it's becoming like this, so more efficient and more supportive, not just on crypto side, but to entrepreneurs and business in general. And I really hope that Europe will also follow at some point. It has to, obviously.
Yeah, I'm actually visiting Hong Kong in February, so looking forward to connect. That'll be nice.
Yeah.
Your friend actually Gianluigi from Calix Finance told me to say hi to you because he apparently knows you very well.
Yeah, great. Yeah. I'll talk to him later this week.
Nice. Let's head over to Kristen. Kristen might have her own questions as well. So, Kristen, I'll pass it on to you.
Okay, thank you. And thank you for the informative and detailed sharing. And a big thank you to Parkman for the lively hosting. And for all the audience, if you enjoyed our conversation or want to learn more about the opportunities in the Polkadot ecosystem, please retweet and share this space to your friends. All right, I have some questions for both of our guests. So the first is about the Jam. Jam will start to roll out in batches from Q4 this year. And Gavin mentioned in an interview that at least 30 teams are already involved in its development after the Jam price was announced. So, do Polimec and HIC have any plans to proactively identify and invest in promising projects in these areas? How about we start from Luca?
Thank you, Kristen. I think on our end, we're certainly monitoring the development of the implementation of certain Jam clients. Until the first Jam client implementation will be finalized, it takes a little bit longer. So specifically in that area, we do not see a project that is ready to invest as of now. Nevertheless, looking at technical development going forward, we believe Plaza or Polkadot Hub in general, enabling smart contracts for the Polkadot VM so that we can have EVM-based smart contracts compiled on Polkadot, that will certainly be something which lowers the entry barriers for projects significantly, and where we're, for Polimec, very actively looking to get new projects on to the Polkadot ecosystem as well.
Okay, it's very early in that case. So, Maria, what's your take on this?
We're obviously super excited about Jam. It will bring Polkadot again another few years ahead of most other chains. Also, the whole narrative around Polkadot Cloud, I think, also resonates well with the investors that we talk to. It's definitely something very exciting. I think when we look at investment in Jam, we need to differentiate between number one, common good projects, so development of Jam itself and all the upgrades that will come and so on. And I think that's why these gem prices also exist. So we have like the treasury financing these common good projects, so that developers get paid for bringing the whole infrastructure in place and for keep upgrading it, and that's great. And I think the treasury should keep funding these important developments. And then for the second one, which is more specifically projects or use cases using this technology gem, we will definitely look at these projects, and we are super excited about the new use cases that it opens up.
Okay, cool. A friend of mine reached out to me today and to talk to me like how's Jam and what they're gonna do if they wanna develop with Jam. So I think no matter what, there are gonna be a lot of developers flowing into the Polkadot ecosystem to develop something very interesting. So that there are bunch of opportunities for all the normal users to catch. So let's talk about the other opportunities. You know, the market sentiment is currently very positive, and Polkadot's secondary market performance is also strong. And the Tau token, you know, I I saw this project in 1 years ago, and it's hard for me to understand. And I checked the other day, last week, and I found out that's already raised for 400x. So, have you invested in this project, and where do you see next opportunities like Tau? How about we start from Luca as well?
Can happily start. Short disclaimer from my side, I did not invest in Tau. And the one has nothing to do with the project or against the project itself. It's just there is a limited amount of time, and I personally prefer to have high, strong conviction bets. So in the assets that I'm invested in, I'm trying to influence these for the positive, rather the active investment approach, and also having longer term positions, which I'm comfortable with holding. Looking overall at secondary market performances, I think we had the brief discussion of where we currently are in this cycle and how the cycle could potentially continue from here on forwards and how it could play out over the next 12 to 18 months. If we potentially look at some resemblance that the entire market structure looks slightly more like the 2017 cycle compared to the 2020 cycle, if we're analyzing volumes, liquidities, and how market cap rotation behaves, then given these similarities where we currently stand, I think the most interesting market to invest in, I do have a strong bias with Polimec, but I'm looking at it objectively week over week and analyzing the data. And primary markets are becoming more interesting than secondary market opportunities. And I strongly expect the next 3 to potentially 6 months being the very, very interesting opportunity in crypto where primary market opportunities will significantly outperform secondary market opportunities. If we can use the similarities of what the data currently shows and where we currently are in the cycle, and if we get some kind of a similar asset rotation from the large caps to the mid caps to the smaller caps, then the next 3 to 6 months, my personal focus will very much be on primary market opportunities.
I just quickly want to step in here and just tell everybody this is just a discussion. Please do not take anything as a financial advice, and always best to do your own research. So please do not think that this is in any way a financial advice about any opportunities.
Okay, thank you, Parkman, for reminding listeners to do their own research and to be responsible for your own money. So, yeah, primary market, you know, usually the cycles works like this. Bitcoin goes up first, then it's about the altcoin. But, you know, the altcoin season just get started. So, if we see that the out season is gonna be last for 1 year, so if we focus the primary market now, and you can potentially see a very significant potential in the next year. So focus on the primary market right now, and it's kind of a very good strategy. And so you can focus on Polimec to see what's launching on their platform, just to catch up the opportunity. So what's your perspective on this, Mario?
Yeah, thank you. So with our first fund, so Harbour Industrial Capital Fund 1, we have focused mainly on these Paragon auctions in the past. So BitTensor did a self-funded bid for the slot back then. So that means that we did not get involved in their token. Yep. But what we got involved is, for example, Peak Network. We had an agreement there with the team. But if you look just at the public rewards that Peak paid back then, 140 Peak per DOT contributed to the crowd loan, plus the bonus, which was 13%, the maximum bonus on the public side. That actually meant that if you take the opportunity cost of the DOT back then, so the 30% for the 2 years, if you assume 15% staking rate, that would mean 40x also for people who contributed to the Peak crowd loan. Just taking public numbers. Obviously, we had a different agreement, so it was also a very good trade for us. So that was a great opportunity in the ecosystem. You could say, because it was crowdloan, was like a primary opportunity for us. BitTensor, yeah, I saw the CEO on stage at Decoded Asia in Singapore. I think it's a great project. Frankly, at these valuations, we will not invest at this stage because we focus more on early stage investments. But certainly, it's a great project, and I think it also has room to go. So definitely, without being financial advisor, I think it is a good project. Other opportunities. So we are launching our second fund in January. So we've already actually been discussing with projects, and there will be an announcement shortly about one project where we are leading the pre-seed round. So we also prefer primary, as Luca said, and to, let's say, to investors looking at the space and how to get involved in primary. I think Polimec will actually be a good platform because, as I understand, there will be like due diligence done, by professionals, and then for those investors who don't have time to look at every single launch in detail, such as Polimec or funds like ourselves are doing for the ones that we're investing, I think that could be a great entry point, as Luca said. Secondaries, yeah, we look at it selectively, but will also not be our major focus. So it will be mainly primary investment opportunities.
Okay, thanks for sharing. I think I can summarize like this. It's, please follow Mario and Luca and keep an eye on copy their portfolio. That's the best strategy. Okay. The next topic we're gonna talk about the SEC, because SEC recently submitted the Bitwise 10 Crypto Index ETF. Everyone knows about the Bitcoin ETF and knows about what this ETF brings to Bitcoin. It's very significant. So, but normal users want to know more because they are not expert. They want to know that what DOT still needs to meet in order to be approved for application. So what is the probability of approval at this stage? What is the approval process, and when it's likely to be approved? So these questions are all cared about, or the questions that normal users ask most and cares most. So I hope that two of you can share your perspective on this. How about Mario to kick it off?
Sure. Well, it's obviously ETFs are super exciting because it really helps, let's say, people not so familiar with crypto to invest in this asset class. We've seen it with Bitcoin, we've seen it with the Ethereum ETFs. I think it's only a question of time when a DOT ETF would be coming at some point in the future. We don't have like inside the SEC, but definitely with the new government coming in January, I think that latest then that we should see some good developments. As the SEC, I believe, will become much more accommodative and also approving more ETFs. So ETFs, US obviously is still the key market, so that's why the SEC is key. We also see ETFs launching in other countries like Switzerland, Hong Kong launched a few ETFs. Also on stable coins, we're seeing some good developments. There's like a plan, for example, in Hong Kong to issue like a Hong Kong dollar stable coin. And actually, we also working there, see if Polkadot can have a stake in that project as well. So a lot of exciting developments, obviously. But as said, I don't have an inside man in the SEC, so to say, to give us any information here. But I think what we can see is that with the new government coming in, there should be positive developments that make the approval process smoother and quicker.
Thanks for your sharing. And Luca, I noticed that Polemic, the founder of Polemic, one of the previous founder of Polemic is the CFO of Web3 Foundation, who took care of the DOT to be software stuff. He was talking to SEC a lot. So do you have some perspective on this? What is missing and when, and the probability of approval at this stage. So what's your take on this?
Absolutely. I think from a regulatory point of view, there is no roadblocker currently for DOT. So this is not something that is holding it back. If we look at other applications, most recent one that was shared by the SEC was the Nasdaq Crypto Index US ETF, and in there the only criteria that was missing was a larger average daily trading volume. So that was the last objective information we have from an SEC statement. And I couldn't agree more with what Mario said on the pipeline to getting a DOT ETF out. It will be a matter of time. The question is not if, it's rather when. Of the latest one of the Nasdaq index that was provided, it required more daily trading volume. And that's also something to keep a very strong eye on this market cycle, that the top 20 coins will have a different positioning than they had in the past, because there are more financial products issued ongoingly, which brings constant buy demand to the top 20 coins, because a lot of these trackers, ETPs or ETFs, are trying to become an index, such as the S&P 500 is an index, to be used as a proxy for the US economy. They're trying to do these index for the crypto market as a whole, and most of them are using the top 10, the top 20, or the top 25 market caps, which means that these coins get a significant inflow from traditional financial market capital and will most likely distance itself from the rest of the crypto assets. So coming back to your question regarding DOT, it was ruled as a piece of software by the SEC. There is no additional regulatory blocker that I would be aware of that was being discussed lately. And given the recent communications from the SEC in analogy to the Nasdaq index ETF, the only reasoning for DOT not to be included in this one was that it required a larger trading volume on a day-to-day basis, which basically means that it will come in the future, just wasn't included in this application yet.
Yeah, I checked the data actually. The trading volume but the trading volume is very big, right? It's not so far from their standards. right? Or okay.
Absolutely. It's not that trading volume is little. It is
Mhm.
that the trading volume was looked at the median trading volume over a certain amount of times back, which is, of course, a major difference if we compare the trading volume now compared to 3 months ago when the application was assessed. So this is something that can be re-evaluated on an ongoing basis as well.
Okay. Okay. Thanks for the informative and detailed sharing about the ETF, about the GEM, and about the opportunities. And so to wrap up our conversation, I think the last question gonna be, you know, Polemic and HIC can share about, what are the most important goals for the upcoming year, and you know, and can you provide some advice for ordinary investors on how to screen for good investment target and maximum their investment returns? How about start from Mario?
Sure, we have one big goal, and I think a lot of people know about it. We want to raise $100 million in our fund two and deploy it in the Polkadot ecosystem. So this is our goal. We are on good track. We are launching in January, and we have a strong anchor, which I think a lot of you have seen in Decoded Asia. Basically already some news there. We will have further news coming out then in January once we launch. And as said, we are already analyzing projects for investment. We want to deploy as soon as possible. I think there's a lot of great projects that need capital, and we're happy to step in and work with the projects on a long-term basis. And long-term meaning really like for multiple years, 3, 5, or even longer. Our fund is 5 years, so we have no pressure on exiting from the timeline perspective. So we really want to take the projects from the initial stages to listing, and then support after listing also with the market makers and so on. So this is our goal. Second goal is looking at our fund one. We are around 4x now, so it's going really well. And we will likely do some distributions there next year. And then a lot of our existing investors also already confirmed that they're coming into the new fund. So also very excited to see some realizations there as well.
Okay. And do you have some advice for ordinary investors on, how to choose the good investment target, or how to make sure that in their investment returns can be, can be very as much as possible?
Well, again, this is not investment advice, but what I've seen in general is that I would say the founders and projects on Polkadot are much more professional and realistic than the projects that we see on other ecosystems. So definitely keep an eye on the Polkadot space. For primaries, yeah, probably Polimec is the best entry point for let's say non-institutional investors. So as long as you do the KYC there, you have access to the deal flow in the primaries. And then yeah, selectively also look at some secondaries. But I think as Lucas said, primary should be really exciting in this cycle. So, well, we, as a disclaimer, we are not yet invested in Polimec, but we may do so very soon because we think it is a great project, and we really think it's also a great platform for retail investors to get involved.
Okay, cool. So, Luca, I think you're very happy now. What are the most important goals for the upcoming year for Polemic?
On our side, the most important goal is the launch and the scaling of a white label solution. In a nutshell, that will enable that deals that are offered on Polymec are accessible to all the end clients at financial intermediaries as well. And with that, at least to my knowledge, it's the first time we have a Web3 application where end users are not familiar that they're using a crypto technology. They do not have to interact with wallets or anything. They can log into your bank account. They can invest with fiat, and in the background, these fiat will be converted to stablecoins, and they can invest in an on-chain transaction into a project whereby the end user only pressed the button that he wanted to invest in a Web3 project, and in the background, the entire Web3 magic happens. And with this rollout of the white label solution, we are able to offer multi-chain deal flow. That means that we can offer projects in the Polkadot ecosystem also if they're launching EVM-based smart contracts or similar, and we can support them in their funding rounds as of early Q1 2025.
Okay, cool. And do you have some advice for the ordinary investors? Except to invest in Polemic. This is the best advice.
I mean, I would keep it very simple. Everyone that's interested in the crypto market overall should take his time and review the 2017 cycle. If they have time from 2020 to 2022 as well, write down the parallels of the two cycles that you see, monitor the large assets, and try to spot some indicators in terms to rotation rates, which protocol is interesting, and maybe you come up with the same solution that the upcoming couple of months will be the most exciting ones for primary markets. Maybe you have a different conclusion, and then stick to your conviction and play it through. I think the most important part is what we see with Polimec as well. It's having these discussions with other individuals and exchanging views is what helps the most to also optimize investment decisions, because there are a lot of Web3 builders out there that are doing great things, and we can learn from each other the most. So we keep saying combine and conquer in Polkadot a lot, because this is also what brings us forward with such a high piece continuously.
Okay, thanks for sharing. And I've learned a lot about the investment, and I will keep an eye to both of you guys to follow on your portfolios. So I think that's all for our prepared topic. And now I will allocate some time for the Q&A section. Anyone who have a question can request to speak. Any questions? Okay, both for Polkadot, for Web3, and for Polemic, for HIC. And any questions, Luca and Mario could answer to you guys. So if you got questions, please request to speak. If there are no questions at the moment, feel free to leave them in the comments after. And we will respond to them. I think there's no questions for by now. So let's wrap it up. Let's wrap it up. So thanks to everyone for being here. I recommend everyone follow our speakers today to stay updated on investment opportunities in Polkadot ecosystem. Thank you, and thank you, Parkman. Thank you, Luca, Maria, and thank you all the listeners. And have a great day.